Some of you may know the ground-breaking game called Homeworld, made in 1999. 3D real-time strategy in space. Whew, beautiful game. The graphics and the story was stunning, and still to this day is pretty awesome. Even though it was made in 1999. It was amazing back in that day. I mean, it was breathtaking back in that day. And now it's still really awesome. Gearbox has bought the name Homeworld and are going to make a sequel and remakes. I'm not too sure what all they're going to do, but they're doing something. But I decided to build one of the ships in Homeworld in KSP. I picked the Taiidan Assault Frigate, because this is one of my favorite designs. It's pretty simplistic, and I'm pretty sure I could transform this into a fully functional, massive battleship in KSP. This picture has a little bit more of an advanced look because this was part of a mod for Homeworld 2. And this guy made the Assault Frigate look a little more advanced as to the pixelated one you saw a couple seconds ago. Now it's time to see my version. So, you might have seen Macey Dean ships. You might have seen some of Scott Manley's ships. But you ain't seen nothing like this. I think this would be around the size of Macey Dean's Spirit of Kerbal. Except I think it's way heavier. Much better armor. Because Spirit of Kerbal was made out of, like, wing pieces, which have a medium crash tolerance. But this thing has real armor. This is high crash tolerance. And has a lot more fuel, but is a beast. It is very, very heavy. In order to get this thing into space without cheats, I don't really think that's actually possible. In order to get this thing into space without mods, I had to turn the gravity off in the cheat bar. You can see that down below. And getting this thing into space took a little while, as in like half an hour. Because of it being really big and having a lot of air resistance, and when you're doing this in the atmosphere without gravity on, and, you know, I've got nuclear engines, I don't have big engines to get things out into space quickly against the air. You know, I'm going up into space at about 50 meters per second, and not like 100 first, and then 200, and then 400. No, it's kind of like 50 meters per second all the way until I start getting into space. Then it's maybe like 70 meters per second. So it was a lot of sitting and waiting. It was kind of painful. And laggy. This thing is so massive. It is 600 and something parts. It's a little bit over 600. I'll probably be adding some more parts, because this here is the prototype. And I don't think it's the finished product. I'm going to change a couple of the ways the fuel works and transfers, along with a way of better control. Like, have a docking port somewhere specific, along with a docking port for refueling, because I don't really have that here, except for some small ones, which are used for the homing missiles, and maybe a couple other minor tweaks. But this thing is still fully functional. It's got 27 regular bullets, I'd call them, and then 2 homing missiles. These all are made out of high crash tolerance pieces and will do a lot of damage. Mostly to smaller ships. I mean, this in the game it's made to combat small ships because of you know, having multiple guns, constantly aiming and firing at small moving ships, as to something like a massive cannon where it takes a while to fire. So in this case, this can take out small ships pretty easily because it's got 24 shots. It doesn't have like 3 big shots, along with 2 homing missiles. And it's also really good at taking out, in theory, it's very good at taking out large ships with no armor. Because of the high crash tolerance, it would just tear through the ship. So this thing is a battleship. Maybe it might just be a frigate in Homeworld, but this thing could do lots and lots of damage if used properly. So I finally get this massive piece of metal, fuel, and explosives out into space, and I'm starting to get it circular. You know, not actually into space, as in no cheats. There's a lot of cheating in this. But I honestly don't know what it would take to get it out in space without the gravity hacked. Which, talking about hacked gravity, I got to turn that off here soon if I don't want to really screw with how this is working and actually see how it works in space. So I unhack gravity for a couple seconds and immediately changes the camera. I'm like, oh no. So, yeah, I would have fallen to my doom if I didn't look at that for much longer. That would have been not recoverable. 30 minutes would have gone to waste. So now I gotta figure out how to get that thing to work in space without the gravity hacked. And my idea is to switch to the only other object in space with hacked gravity off. That happened to be a shuttle that I tested the bullets from the Assault Frigate on to see that they actually worked out in space before I installed them onto the Assault Frigate. Here comes the ground, and wham! KSP physics are awesome. Mostly when your guys can jump from space and live. I don't know where his ship went. But anyways, what you saw there is when I went to the ship. So what you saw there is when I turned the hacked gravity off, the ship basically lost all of its momentum and plunged to Kerbal and blew up, except for the little Kerbal. He lived. So let's finally have a nice look at this Assault Frigate as it is positioned in space correctly now. It is now at the correct speed for actually being in orbit. Pretty ship, man. It's quite a beautiful ship. So much time into it, and it looks just amazing. So we're going to test shooting off one of the bullets here. The first one we shot there a couple seconds ago completely disappeared, but this time I focused in on this one, and look how fast this goes. It's a very small object. I'm not going to tell the design behind it just yet. But it has a high crash tolerance, and really packs a punch, mostly when it has 1,500 meters per second behind its speed there. So, since this is only a prototype, and I decided to give it a goofy name, we're calling this first Assault Frigate the Timothy. There will be another Assault Frigate that comes out, and will have a much more legit name. But this Assault Frigate here, it's mostly prototype. There's already changes I'm going to make to it. This is the Timothy. Man, rendering this thing just lags my computer like crap. I'm getting about 5 frames per second here, but it still looks really nice. I actually decided not to turn down the graphics. And here we can see it in front of Kerbal now. I am putting it into position. Slowly turning to make it look epic. It's got a lot of mass behind it. I might put some more of the RCS ports, or the RCS ports that use liquid fuel, onto it, even though I've already got 2 of those really powerful ports. I probably need more because this thing needs a lot of power to turn. Now we'll just watch it for a couple seconds in its glory. And I'll probably speed up this. So there we go, completely circularized its orbit. Another cool thing I noticed when I was testing the gun for the first time previously, which I don't know if you guys saw, when it fired, I guess I would call it the barrel actually like compressed in, and I'll show you it here. And I thought that effect was actually really cool because that's how it actually looks in-game when the Assault Frigate fires. But anyways, that is the Assault Frigate, that is the prototype, and I'll actually be bringing it into combat the next episode. I am definitely making another episode on this, and hopefully this gets a lot of attention, because this is a lot of time, effort, and thought into this, not little ship, really big ship. So I hope to see you in the next video.